Everyone. Let me go ahead and make sure that everything is showing up on YouTube. I know it's quite a few lives that are going on in general, so bear with me, guys. Let me go ahead and kind of close out some of these things I got open, making sure that YouTube is showing up and that we are good to go. Hope everyone's doing well today. Hope you guys are ready for the information we're about to drop. And yeah, get your questions ready. And okay, perfect. So let me make sure that it says that it's live. So give me a second here. Okay, so we're good there. I'm just checking it on my phone, making sure we're good. And then we're going to go and get this party started. All right, guys. So everyone that's chiming in, go ahead and put inside the chat where you guys are watching from, where you guys watching this from, what city you in, what state you in. We about to get it going today, guys. We're about to get it going today. All right. So let me see here. Let me just make sure everything is on. Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Let me go ahead and jump inside the chat if you guys can hear me okay. All right. There we go. Okay, perfect. Just want to make sure that was working right. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get this party started. As you guys know, one of our favorite, interviewees is most definitely here. One of the best interviews we've done on our channel. So many comments, so much love, so much knowledge you guys gain. But again, I know you guys are not here to see me. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and not introduce because you guys have seen him before, but for many of you all who are new to the channel that may not have had a chance, the opportunity to meet Mr. Dante Sledge, he is in the building. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and get him here. Dante, are you with us today, sir?
Yes, sir. Your boy Sledging team.
There you go. There you go. There you go. All right, guys. So let's go ahead and get everything started. And so let's keep the chat going, guys. I'm gonna have everything in front of me during this live as well. Let me get it pulled up on my phone. We want to make sure we're not missing out on any of the questions that we have going on today, guys. Okay. So let's go ahead and keep the chat popping. I see we got Pinehurst, North Carolina. That's what's up. You know, what's crazy is that my son golfs. So we may be making a trip to Pinehurst, hopefully at some point in the future. All right. But I know you guys got some questions. Okay. I know you guys got some questions, that's been pressing. We've been trying to keep up with them in the comments and things of that sort. But let's go ahead and we're just going to kick off the conversation and you guys go ahead and just start asking some questions. So Dante, any changes so far? Any new credit cards, anything that's been happening in your credit card journey?
The day after we did our last interview, American Express got this unwritten rule to where you can only get 5 credit cards and 10 charge cards. Well, you know what kind of risk taker I am in this game.
Yeah.
I was already at 6 when the limit is 5. And, that Amazon Prime Day came up. And I needed that $175 gift card that came along with the Amazon Prime business card.
Wow.
So went out there, jumped out the window, 12 Amex.
Wow.
12 Amex. Yeah.
There you go. Congratulations, man. You said number 12?
Thank you, brother. Number 12, man. 33 cars overall.
Man, congratulations, man. Congratulations. And here's the thing, guys. Do not try this at home if you're not ready to try this at home. Okay? So, again, this guy is a monster when it comes to the credit card game. So, of course, he manages it well. He knows which cars he keeps on him. Some cars he keeps on him. Some cars he uses for certain occasions. Let's talk about that. So now, let's say a person, because obviously we go back in time, right? The Dante that didn't know so much about credit cards. I'm sure you never really, I don't know if you ever saw yourself essentially trying to get as many cards as this. Did you ever see this happening in the future?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. At one time, I wouldn't touch credit cards. I use debit cards or cash for everything. I kind of like started my journey into points and miles and those things from getting the Capital One Quicksilver.
Yeah.
And the only reason I really got into it because I knew that it gave me 1.5% cash back. But at the time when I got it, I knew about that, but I wasn't really using it until I started using the card, and I realized that I was generating cash back, which got me in the mindset of always using my credit cards for every purchase that I could use it, because when I only had that card that was generating points, cash back, my mindset was if I wasn't using the card, then I wasn't getting the cash back. So in that way, I'm thinking I'm losing when I could have been winning.
Yeah. Wow. That's huge. That's huge. You know, also too, your microphone, it seemed like it's I don't know if it's connected to something, but it seemed like it's not going in and out, but it's like kind of, I don't know. It sounds like sometimes it sounds perfect, and then a couple of seconds ago it sounded like it was kind of far away. I don't know if there was something.
Oh, it might be my earbud. Let me hold on. Let me 1 second.
Yep. All right. Oriel is in the house. What's going on, Oriel? Winston-Salem is in the house. A lot of North Carolina's in the house, man. We have to listen, we have to make a trip out there. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Y'all will hold me to that. So all right, perfect. Oh, that's what I was trying to put in there, guys, but it wouldn't let me type it. So I'm trying to find the fastest, best way to do this. So we kind of changed how I was going to do it. Last time you guys set notifications, but then that particular one, I wasn't able to get the interview person on. This one, you're able to get them on, but we're not able to show your chat. So I'm keeping the chat in front of me. So you'll see me looking down a lot to make sure we're not missing anything. But I'm going to put in here, keep the questions coming. Okay, guys.
Can you hear me good?
Oh, yeah, you're perfect. Okay. All right, perfect. So yeah, but no, continue that story though. You was if you can keep going with that.
Yeah, so basically when I noticed that I was getting the cash back by using the card, I started using it a lot more often. Now, granted, at this time, I only have 2 credit cards: the Capital One Platinum card and the Capital One Quicksilver. The Platinum card is not giving me anything. The Quicksilver was giving me the small amount of cash back at the time.
Yeah.
So it kind of just got me in the mind state of using the credit cards over the debit card, because there was 2 things. One thing, I'm getting the cash back, and the second thing is when I'm using the credit card, I'm using the bank's money. So they're going to protect that money more than they would if I was using my debit card.
Yeah.
So that's another thing.
Wow. Yeah. Now you're right about that. You're most definitely right about that. All right. So now, what were the first couple cards that you kind of started with when early in your journey?
Okay, so we can go back to the beginning of time. I actually started my credit journey before that. This was the rebuilding stage that I'm talking about currently.
Okay.
When I first started, my very first credit card was a dealer store card. And the only reason I got that card at that time is because I shopped at dealers frequently, and the clerk kind of sold me on it. Thing was, at that time, I wasn't ready for credit cards. I had no knowledge of credit cards or how to use credit cards. And basically, when I found out I could get the dealer's card, I got a Sears card, I got a Target card, I got 2 Capital One cards. I'm not sure if you're familiar with HSBC. I got 2 HSBC cards and some other credit cards. And long story short, I ran them things up, ran into credit card debt. And yeah, it was one of the worst times of my life. When you run a $500 credit limit up to $3,000, when somebody's calling you every day about these cars, it's really stressful. It's really stressful on your life.
Yeah.
So after I got all of that settled and everything, I didn't touch credit cards for maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 years.
Wow.
Yeah, straight cash and everything. And one day, I just jumped out the window. Okay, let me throw this story in there.
Yeah.
I had one of my earlier cars was a Target card. Target was one of the cars that I went over the limit on.
Yeah.
At the time, like I said, I wasn't managing them right. I was getting this 20% interest or whatever it was at the time. It's compounding because at the time I'm paying minimum balances.
Yeah.
Right. Right now, I will pay a balance in full whenever I spend on the card. But at this time in my life, I'm paying minimum balances.
Yeah.
So it compounds to the point where I'm in credit card debt. Right? So I went from trying to pay it back to it being so overwhelming at the time that I just gave up on it. One thing people got to understand about some of these credit card companies, some of them will come after you. Target actually sued me for $1,500. Yeah, they took me to court for $1,500.
Yeah.
And the crazier part about that is I could have just paid them and prevented it.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
while we were in court, there wasn't a judge, there was a magistrate. I talked to the magistrate who let me talk to their lawyer, and we settled that right in court that day.
Wow.
I got in writing that they would take it off my credit report if I paid in full that day. I paid them in full, and I was done with it from that point on.
Man.
But like I say, after that, I did not touch credit cards for a very long time, maybe like say 8 or 9 years.
Wow. That's huge, man. That's huge. And you know what's crazy is with a story like that, or really with a journey like that, there's no way from the outside looking in that I would say, oh yeah, this guy will have, 10 plus credit cards, 20 plus credit cards one day in the future just because of that happened. But here, guys, he dropped a major nugget. Some credit card companies will take you to court. So you guys are watching these YouTube people and they're telling you what you want to hear. Things like don't pay that collection, things like ignore that company, things disputed, and then disputes does not mean you don't owe the money. Let me say that again. Disputes does not mean you don't owe the money, whether it's on your credit report or not. Again, every state has different statutes and things of that sort, because I know everybody's a YouTube lawyer. We ain't gonna go too deep. I don't want to veer off. But my point is, some of these companies, they not playing with you. They're not playing with you. Now, sometimes they will take it as a loss because you're probably like, well, man, why don't these companies come out to more people? Well, banks, they need to take a loss. They're gonna make their money, but they need to show some losses, some real losses, right? And so when it comes to tax season, y'all know how y'all be doing y'all taxes, right? So it's the same thing. But there are some times too where they come after you, not just for credit cards, they'll come after you for old auto loans too. All right. So here, we'll most definitely kind of add more to Dante's story because I'm so interested. So now we're about to segue into the second part of that story. But I know we got a couple questions in here. Keep the questions coming, guys. So now let's go ahead and go into Oriel. Oriel said, when you do a credit freeze and apply for a product, will you still be able to see which credit bureau the lender pulled from? Have you ever done that before? You said you typically keep your stuff frozen, right, Dante? Or do you deal with that?
Well, you know what? I typically freeze my credit for a different reason. The reason that I freeze my credit is because one time, many years ago, I got a bill from Credit One when I didn't even know who Credit One was at the time.
Yeah.
And the only thing on that bill was the annual fee. I never applied for this card, but I received the bill. I never received the card. So someone opened up a card in my name with Credit One, and ever since then I've been freezing my credit. They didn't give me a problem closing the account.
Yeah.
But even though it was closed, it still stayed on my credit for 7 years as a closed account that I did not open.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's the reason I freeze mine. But going back to her question, you will find out. You'll find out if they try to pull your credit if your credit is frozen. You'll get an email from whatever bureau it is because you have to sign up in order to get. You have to put your email in when you sign up to whatever credit bureau it is, and they'll let you know that someone tried to pull your credit.
Yep, absolutely. And also too, if you don't have the alerts or notifications set up properly, then you can even ask them, and they'll let you know because they'll say, "Hey, we wasn't able to pull it," and say, "Oh, well, I typically keep my credit bureaus frozen, and I need to know which one it is." So you can go ahead and ask them as well too if you don't get that notification. Great question, Oriel. Great question.
Yeah, you know what else? To me, it's kind of, if you're gonna do things like that, you should also have an app from those guys, Experian, TransUnion, and then you can see if you have it frozen or not, and you can also see when they pulled it at that time without even having to call in.
Sorry about that. You good? Sorry, I still got this phone connected. But yeah, so did you finish that statement, Dante?
Yeah, I finished up.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, guys, let me get this phone. Man, this happens every now and then. Sorry about that, guys. All right, great. So now let's go to the next question then, guys. The next question is, I'm in the rebuilding stages currently. I have 3 charge-offs. They are all from secured credit cards. The amounts I owe on all of them is less than $200. what will be the best course of action for the best outcome? I'll jump in on this one. You can give your 2 cents as well to Dante if you want to. Here's my thing, guys. So, my honest opinion about charge-offs in general, I strongly recommend that you guys consider if you can honestly make an well, for one, if you can afford to pay the company. That's what it comes down to, in my personal opinion. If you can afford to pay the company, go ahead and pay them. Why have things lingering if you don't need to have things lingering, guys? You don't need to have unnecessary things lingering on your credit report just simply because you don't want to pay them. Now, don't get me wrong. If you're in a position where you can't pay them, I get it. But some of you guys, most of you guys, are in a position where you guys can afford to pay these companies. Okay, when you guys can afford to pay these companies, and here's the thing: when you have a charge off, not only do you can talk to them and say, "Hey, can we do a settlement?" Again, guys, anytime that you have an account and the account is closed, especially if the account is closed, 70 to 80% of the time, they will work out a settlement with you. Okay. They will do that. And so, again, just keep that in mind as you're going through that process. But that's what I would recommend as you're going through the rebuilding stages. Because here's the thing: a lot of people, they say, some people, listen, some people only know their situation. I've seen over 10,000 credit reports since I was working at the dealership and just over time with clients, saying that to say, I've seen that one, anytime you get a charge off from your credit report, and that balance is still showing, that balance is divided by the limit. So that's utilization. That utilization is there on your credit report, right? So again, that's just a bad balance just sitting there. So not only can you now, of course, you can pay it in full if you want to, but always try to settle it. Now, will the charge off still be on your credit report? Yeah, but it's not going to hurt as bad as it would if you had a balance on there. Now, can you dispute that? You most definitely can. But at the end of the day, that's how you actually get points without necessarily waiting for a dispute. Disputes don't guarantee removals. I'm gonna say that again. Disputes don't guarantee removals. Removals don't guarantee points. You will not hear a lot of people on YouTube say that. Removals do not guarantee points. You know why? Because when something gets closer to 7 years old, it doesn't have that much value. It doesn't have that much weight. Okay. So just keep that in mind as you're along your journey. Dante, do you have anything on that one?
No, man, you covered that one for sure. I would have said pretty much the same thing.
There you go. There you go. All right. Perfect. Perfect. All right. So now let's continue. Now, as Dante and I are talking, guys, we're gonna be talking about a couple different topics because there's a couple things I want to talk to Dante about. But we'll keep the questions coming because the whole point is we want to help you. Okay. Because listen, it's not gonna be too many times where Dante's gonna be like, "Hey, listen, guys, it's a Q&A style." Okay. So listen, this is a grand opportunity. But now let's go into the rest of Dante's story. Let's go into, okay, now the Target situation happened. And then at what point were you like, okay, let me start learning more about this and let me start getting certain cards?
You know what? I wanted to get back into getting more credit. I was looking for ways to build my credit, right? Because I think my credit I had got my credit back up just from things falling off and over time. Because age of credit will increase your score over time. That's a marathon thing because you can't change your age of credit. So my credit was increasing over time, but I was looking for a way that I can kind of not turbo boost it, but get it going a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Right. So with doing my research, I started thinking about credit cards. I started watching different YouTube channels, listening to different people, just looking at what I know is right and what I know is wrong from personal experience. Because if you look at the Sledging YouTube channel, everything's gonna be personal experience, right? Everything that I say to anyone is gonna be from personal experience. If I don't know it, I'll relay it to somebody else that I think do know it. Yeah. But I did my research and I was trying to find the cards that could get me into there without the lowest risk of being declined. And at the time, I didn't even know you could pre-approve for cars. But I found out that Capital One had a pre-approval process. So I went to Capital One. I pre-approved for the Capital One Platinum card and the Capital One Quicksilver card. So I got both of those cards. And here's the crazy part. I went back to Target applied for the card, and the same company that sued me
Wow.
gave me another card
Wow.
because that card was off of my credit. So, in saying, they don't even know that they gave me this card at one time, you know?
Right. Yeah.
So, I got those cards, but those were the only cards that I used for probably 4 years before I got a Discover card. When I got the
Mm.
Discover card and I started looking at the cash back that I was getting from that one, I started learning the game a little bit more because I know that I'm getting the cash back from the Capital One card. I'm getting the 5% cash back from the Discover card, but I'm still researching things. And I'm seeing all of these people on YouTube, they in the Maldives and going to Bora Bora and all of this. And I'm like, it's interesting to me, but at the time, it's not realistic to me, you
Yeah.
know.
Right.
So what I'm doing is I'm steady doing my research on things. And I start looking at different credit cards because I would like to travel too. There's no such thing as doing anything for free. You have to put in the work for everything.
Yeah.
So I have to put in the work for the research and look at the best cards for Dante, right?
Yeah.
I have to look at the best cards for Dante, just like everyone has to look at the best situation for themselves.
Yeah.
So I let my age grow a little bit more. My credit's growing because I'm using these cards. I'm using the cards that my age of credit is growing, and because I have this credit, I keep my utilization down. That's one thing that I learned from the very first time. Keep utilization down.
Yep.
If I buy it, I pay it. Right? You have people that say pay it before the due date, pay it before the statement date. Just make sure you pay that credit card before it's due.
That's right.
Make sure you pay that credit card before it's due because those guys get money off of swipe fees. Don't let them get money off of interest from you. So I get my first. I apply for something that I did not even think was achievable for me at the time. It was my first American Express card. Even with that, I still researched and looked at the easiest one to apply for because I wasn't sure if I could get approved or not. And I went with the American Express everyday card.
Mm.
I was approved for that card. Once I was approved for that card, I found out with American Express, you can get you can get two cards after 5 days. You can get your second card after 5 days.
Really?
I applied for the Hilton Honors card, which also has no annual fee. So
Yeah.
I got that card 6 days after I got the first card.
Mm. Wow.
And this is one thing I always tell people: when you listen to YouTubers,
Mm.
there's a lot of misinformation.
Yeah.
There's a lot of regurgitated information. A
Yep.
lot of people are going to watch my video and just tell you something I said. Or they're going to watch someone else's video and they're just going to tell you something that they said, right? And you're going
Yep.
to hear the same. That's why you hear the same thing from different people all the time.
Yeah.
Well, there's one thing that commonly said by YouTubers. They tell you that when you get one American Express card, once you get into the ecosystem, you can only get one hard inquiry.
Mm.
That's not true for everyone. I'm telling you from personal experience. On my second card, I got a hard inquiry. You will
Mm.
hear that on YouTube 1 million times. So do your own research on everything. Do not believe everything that you hear from these guys on the internet. Okay, I got the second card.
Yep.
But the way I'm thinking is, what is the best way to take advantage of these cards? The best way, and I tell anybody, if you're going to get a card from a major issuer and that card has a sign-up bonus, make sure you can meet the sign-up bonus. Make sure you can do the minimum spend to hit the sign-up bonus on those cards.
Mm.
So when I hit the minimum spend on the everyday card, I think I got like 15,000 points or something like that. This was a while ago.
Yeah.
And on the Hilton card, it's like 50,000 Hilton points. This is enough to get a hotel stay, right? This is enough to get a hotel stay. So now my mind is clicking into getting more involved into the travel, but I have to do it at my pace.
Yeah.
Since I'm in American Express, and I know that they'll approve me for a card, and I know one thing for sure: with their charge cards,
You can get as many charge cards. Well, you can get up to 10 charge cards, but there's no rules to the charge card. If you can apply for a charge card today and then apply for another one tonight. They don't have any rules with those cards. So I got my first travel charge card, which was the American Express Green card.
Yeah.
Because, you know, like I said earlier, I wanted to get more into travel.
Yeah.
I have a Hilton card that's giving me enough points for a nice stay, right? Just off the sign-off bonus. I had the everyday card that gave me 15,000 points, and now I have a green card that gives me 15,000 points, and that's enough to put together to transfer. And I don't want to make this too complicated,
yeah,
because this is just stuff that I researched. But these companies have different companies you can transfer your points to, whether it's airlines and hotels. And once I had my first free stay, right, and I'm going to say that my stay was free. Because what I do is I calculate my cash back in with my points, and when I made my first transaction as far as getting my hotel stay, and there was a resort fee, I just cashed out the cash back that I had made from the Quicksilver and the Discover card to pay that fee. Therefore, the whole hotel ride was free. So that's basically how I started with everything before all of these cards.
And see, that'll do it, because see, when you expect, you know, when you have like a great experience with something, or not just a great experience, but when you experience something new for the first time, like, you know, having that first free stay, I'm sure you're like, man, how can I keep getting these?
Yes,
and that leads to so many different types of things. But you know what though? What I like about you, Dante, is that not only are you very knowledgeable, you know, confidence, and, you know, man, bravery, because a lot of people, they're like, okay, I don't even feel comfortable managing these few credit cards, or you know, I know that I need to use it a certain way in order for me to get certain points and that, things of that sort. What are some of the things that kind of make you feel comfortable, you know, as you have these credit cards? So, by the way, guys, he has 33 active credit cards, guys, using 33 credit cards actively. Okay. So, but what gives you the confidence to do that?
You know what? It always wasn't this way. When I got to around 15 cards, it kind of got overwhelming for a minute. I had to take a step back and think about things, and then rethink how I was doing things, because I got caught up in the mind state of, like I say, I'm watching different YouTube channels and such and seeing what they're doing, instead of looking at what I was doing, how I started my journey. You know, because when I started, I was doing it the way that I want to do it, more calculated. You know, so the way that I manage the cars, one big thing, it's an app, Max Rewards. Max Rewards lets you know what card to use and where to use it. You can load all your cards in there. Go to the app. If you're at the grocery store, if you're at the gas station, if you're not sure which card to use, just go to that app and it'll tell you which card that you have loaded in there is your best card to use. So I use Max Rewards. Another thing is, the reason that you want to know the best card to use, because you want to max. Let me hear my dog barking.
Oh yeah.
You want to maximize your points.
Yep.
If you're going to get into this credit card thing, you want to maximize your points, and that's the reason why you want to know what card to use where. Okay. Now, you might be somebody who could care less about any of that, and you want to get large limits because you want to start a business or you want to contribute to your business and things like that.
Yep.
Same thing. You have to do your own due diligence and research. No one can tell you exactly which way to go in your journey. You have to do your own due diligence. For me, I have several charge cards which could work in my favor. Yeah. But I also knew that Navy Federal gave out pretty large credit limits if you did the right things with them. Yeah. Right? I also know that PenFED give out pretty large limits if you do the right things with those guys. And by the right thing, I don't mean pumping in $100,000 through there, $20,000, $30,000. What I mean is having transactional history with them. Yeah. Maybe getting direct deposit. Put money in the account every now and then. I don't have a large amount of money in Navy Federal or PenFED because those accounts don't gain me a lot of money.
Yeah.
Where my money will sit at is in an account that has a high yield savings account. If I'm not investing it, a certificate account, because they're safe, right? You're gonna make money off of that.
Yeah.
But places like Navy Federal, you can make dividends on it, but you're not gonna make a lot of money out of it. They're great institution. It's a great institution, and they will give you high limit credit cards if you treat them right. But you don't have to do all of these tricks and all of these things people are telling you in order to get these large limits with Navy Federal. They just want to see that you're going to be responsible and you're going to put money through those banks.
That's right. That's right. And you know what, guys? Listen, I told y'all to bring y'all notepads on this one, as I tell y'all on all my good interviews. Okay, and he dropped so many nuggets on that. So I'm gonna kind of pick up just some things that I got from that. And that's the thing, is that just because you have an account with these companies doesn't mean that you have to use it like you would like your main account. You only don't forget why you got that account. You got that account to get the credit card in most cases, right? He said different. So don't just go with whatever hot card somebody's talking about, unless you feel that you can. Obviously, that's something that it lines up with your lifestyle. See, that's the thing. It's cool to have a credit card with a high limit, but things got to line up with your lifestyle. Otherwise, you'll find yourself in a situation where you're doing things just to have things. And you don't want to start doing that, because that's going to throw you completely off, for sure. So, man, that's huge. That what Dante just touched on. And then Dante, I do have a question. Of course, we see Anthony's in the building. Stephen is in the building. Apocalypse. So now I do want to ask you a question. After we talk about what Apocalypse wants to talk about real quick. He says Discover keeps sending IRS 4506 codes, consent verification, and closing accounts. I'm going to give my take on that. Lately, what I did see where it is not just Discover. Capital One can do that too. Chase does this too. But typically what I've seen is that's usually when you guys are adding and removing authorized users at a certain pace. Okay. That's when they're going to help. That's when they're going to close you guys' accounts. That's one of the reasons, I should say. I'm not sure that may be the reason, but if you guys are using your cards and you're adding on authorized users, removing on authorized users, they don't like when you guys do that, because that's unnatural. Okay. But you got to take on that, Dante, about Discover closing cards or anything on that?
No, I'm with you 100%. I mean, it's a couple things. The one thing is the authorized user. Another thing is when you get these cards, they give you these cards because they want you to use them. If you're not putting transactions through those cards, sometimes they will close those cards. Right. So I just throw that out there. Yeah, it could be authorized users, because I know of a guy that he had all of his American Express closed, and it was basically because of authorized users. He had authorized users that were on there, and they were spending a tremendous amount of money on these cars, where he wasn't spending pretty much anything on the cars. He started joining the cars.
Wow.
So yeah, they're always watching those kind of things. So you got to be careful with these institutions.
Yep, 1,000%, 1,000%. And see, that's why the way that Dante does it is natural, right? They're okay with you having a lot of companies and a lot of cards and things of that sort, but it's got to make sense. Right? It's got to make sense. So now let's talk about something, Dante. I've been hearing about this thing called a Chase Trifecta, right? So now, but technically, can any 3 cards complete a Chase Trifecta, or what does a Chase Trifecta mean to you?
All right, for most people, I'm not a big Chase guy, but for most people, the Chase Trifecta is going to be the Freedom Flex, the Freedom Unlimited, and one of their Sapphire cards, whether it be the preferred or the reserve.
Okay.
In my honest opinion, for most people, I think if you're going to go that route, it's the Freedom Flex, it's the Freedom Unlimited, and then it's the preferred. You can get the reserve. The reserve is a $550 annual fee card. In my honest opinion, is it worth $550? No. Right? And you're talking to someone who holds 2 American Express Platinum cards. Right? Both of those cards are $695 annual fee a piece. I do not believe that the Chase the Chase Reserve is worth $550. So if you want to do a trifecta, or you can get one of their ink cards and complete your trifecta. But with the ink card, as I said earlier, when you get these cards, you want to get the sign-up bonus, because that's the way you're going to get the most points out of these cards. With those ink cards, because they're business cards, they're going to require a higher spend. So if you can't meet that spend, I would just think that it would be probably easier to just hit the personal cards.
Wow. See, guys, I'm telling you. See, again, when you have different credit cards and you've or similar credit cards with different companies, you're able to make that comparison, right? Even though people say, "Oh, Chase this or Chase that," or whatever bank it is. And again, it's, you guys heard it from, you heard it from Dante yourself, where he just said, you can do it, but is it, compared to other cards, is that a better card to have? And in his opinion, again, you could get something a little bit better. So, so you may be able to complete that trifecta, but at the end of the day, you're going to be forcing yourself to spend a certain amount just to have a certain amount, where you can get a similar card with better rewards, based on what Dante is saying. So greatly appreciate you answering that. Star's in the house. What's going on, Star? All right. Awesome. All right. So Oriel just asked a question too. And so now the question that he has is adding authorized users for money a bad thing in the card issuer's eyes? I'm going to give my take on that too. So here's the thing with authorized users. You guys got to understand something. The whole point of adding an authorized user is to benefit family. That's where it starts. I'm not saying that you can't add a friend. I'm not saying that you can't add someone you don't know. But when you are constantly adding people, right? And I would say constantly, that means obviously you can only have a certain amount of seats. If authorized users had unlimited seats, the game would be way different. But they have a certain amount of max seats, like Capital One. You can add 5 authorized users, right? Here's the deal. When you do something like that, the whole point of that is not necessarily to have the credit history show up on their credit report. When you really look at the reason that an authorized user is even there as an option, when you're looking at that, even as an option, it's really just to give a second credit card to someone. Again, like let's say a 13-year-old, a 16-year-old, your wife, your husband, whatever, right? And it's to say, hey, I got this account, but if you need to use this account, here's a credit card. And it has your name on it because you're an authorized user. That's the purpose of an authorized user. We are lucky. And here's my personal opinion. They probably going to change this up pretty soon, because as YouTube grows and people start getting more self-information, and it's not just the self-information that they're worried about. It's the manipulation, right? It's the manipulation. That's why you guys are seeing all these trade line companies close down, because they don't like it. Regardless of what you think, they're the ones that's letting people borrow the money. Let's go deeper into that. If a person is in reality, and let's say a person's a 550 credit score, 550, 600, right? Doesn't matter about necessarily the score. Watch where I'm going. And they get added as an authorized user on somebody's account that's 7 years old, 10 years old, flawless payment history, under 30% utilization. That score is going to shoot up like a rocket. Now you have a person that's a 550, 600 score. Now on paper, they're looking like a 650, 670, whatever that improves to, because it's going to go about that speed. Now on paper, they say, oh, this person deserves 0%. This person deserves 5%. This person deserves this credit card. This person deserves to get approved for this loan. But again, that's on paper. See, a lot of y'all look good on paper. You know what I'm saying? Paper bandits, right? We look good on paper. But it's like, but see, time will tell. It's no different than a person winning the lottery. If they didn't have the best money habits prior to that, more money it's just going to say, it's going to blow it up. See, instead of the Ford being repossessed, the BMW is being repossessed, right? Instead of you getting kicked out your apartment, you just getting kicked out the house. Instead of you owing $100, you just owe somebody $10,000. So you just broke at a higher level. Okay. So again, and that doesn't mean that everybody's broke that's trying to look for authorized users, right? But I'm just saying that to say that's what it looks like in the bank's eyes. So, but to answer the question in its shortest form, after I gave all that information, right, There's nothing wrong with authorized users and adding authorized users, even removing authorized users. It's really the pace at which you do it. They don't want you to have this as a business. They don't want that. And how do they know it's as a business? Because people don't have the same address. You always removing and adding people. I'm sure there's a science to it. It's like there's a hack to everything. Y'all got the hacks to everything. I don't study that hack. The reason why is because there are certain things that we need to know certain things, but certain things you can't pass down to your family. See, everything that you do, if you're looking to get your credit wiped, if you're looking to, keep adding authorized users, if you keep looking just the shortcut, if you keep shortcutting, guess what? You can't teach your kids anything because you got to teach them the shortcut. You say, oh man, don't worry about your credit. Here's what you got to do when you mess it up. Because you don't even know how to do it right. All you know how to do is mess it up, wipe it, mess it up, wipe it. And they know ain't nobody gonna trust you. And even though on paper, that new person looks at it, it's a matter of time before the word gets around. See, people keep thinking, they keep looking at their credit report. And I'm gonna end on this. They look at their credit reports, but these banks, they have their own databases. Capital One ain't forgot about that $5,000 you owe them. Target ain't forgot about that $1,500 that Dante owed them, right? These companies have their own database, right? That's why they ask you for your social, your name, your address, all that stuff. It's a matter of time. So whatever you do, be prepared to teach your family. He said, well, Calvin, I ain't worried about all that. All right, well, here, again, I'm just letting you know in the minds of the bank, it's got to make common sense. It's got to make common sense. Anything on that, Dante? After I gave a whole spiel on that.
Yeah, the thing with authorized users, I don't have anything against it, but for me personally, unless it's my kids, you're not going to be authorized user on my card. And the reason my kids are authorized user on my card was just to build their credit up.
That's it.
But at the same time, I was giving them something that I didn't get growing up, right? I was giving them the knowledge of how to use credit once they got it. When my daughter started her credit journey, she got her first credit card at 19.
Yep.
She got a Discover student card because she was a student. She has the Amex Gold. And now she just got the Amazon Prime card. But she started at a 765 because she was on my cards for that period of time. Right? I don't trust anybody. I wouldn't trust anybody. I mean, maybe you would put somebody on as authorized user and you keep the card.
Right.
But if they know they're authorized user, what's to stop them from calling and getting the card?
Woo, man.
Right? What's to stop calling? And you can't rely on somebody to be responsible with something that they have no ownership of. Right.
Yep.
So I don't have anything against authorized users. I just wouldn't do it personally.
Man, listen, let me tell y'all something. Listen, stars in the comments, guys. Start about some teach. But listen, Dante touched on something that a lot of people don't talk about, right? We touched on a couple things earlier. One, the guy mentioned why Discover cards potentially get closed out. That's one of the reasons, guys. Adding people on and removing them at a certain pace because it looks like they know what you're doing. And they know that you ain't just doing it for free. They know you making it into a business. You're not going to make no money if they ain't making no money. That's the short end of it. That's number one. Number two, some banks do allow for the authorized user to call in and say, hey, I lost my card. I'm an authorized user on this account. I lost this card. Guys, there is a risk. There's a risk. There's risk on both sides. Some of y'all just thinking like, well, no, man, I ain't going to do people like that. Let me tell you something. I've seen people lose their job, or a major expense comes up, or like the other day when Chase had that issue and they check didn't come. Let me tell you something. If something, and I get it, I know those are like random one-offs, but there are some times where things do happen. No one is going to call you. Let's say you're an authorized user on someone else's card. You're not getting a phone call saying, hey, I'm about to swipe and I'm about to take this utilization up to 80%. I want to make sure that's cool before I do it. You're not getting that phone call. They're not calling you. You're going to see it on your credit report. I had a client the other day. They're this close from home ownership. And they were added as an authorized user on their brother's card. I said, man, listen, I told him a while back, I said, listen, the way your brother's using this card, you need to get removed from this card because we're only about to go into the holiday season, right? You got when Amazon Prime Day, you got, Black Friday right around the corner, Labor Day, Christmas, New Year's, all this stuff, birthdays, regular stuff, right? And again, people use their cards differently. So just be careful on that side of things. We ain't gonna spend too much time on it, but guys, just be careful, on that side of things. All right. So, but either way, let me see. I believe I'm late to the party. Don't you worry, you good. And does anyone else have any questions before we wrap up and get up out of here? But Dante, there was something else. So we talked about the Chase Trifecta. We got that information, because I wanted to make sure people had a clear understanding, of that as well too. Now let's go into a sidebar with credit unions. Now, of course, we talked about Navy Fed the other day. We talked about PenFED the other day. Are there any other credit unions that have been like kind of catching your eye, or not even catching your eye, that you feel are like just worth? You feel like that's worth the time to have an account with them to get a credit card and so forth?
You know what? I have an account with Andrews Credit Union. It's the largest black-owned credit union in the nation, and I don't have any cards with them.
Yeah,
I just built that relationship with them. I had them for a while.
wow.
But they do have two good cards. One of them is the titanium card, and the reason that card's a good card is because a lot of us shop at Walmart, right?
Yeah.
For one reason or another, we shop at Walmart.
Yeah.
There's not many cards that give you anything on Walmart more than 1%. There's not many cards. Their titanium card, even the Walmart card. If you get a Capital One Walmart card, if you shop in store, it's 1% cash back. One. You have to shop online with Walmart in order for it to be 3% cash back with their own card. But with the titanium card at Walmart, you get 3% cash back. And Target.
Wow.
There's not many cards that will give you that. So that's one advantage that they have. And I believe it's you can also get 5% cash back with EV charging and gas on the same card. So that's a huge thing right there. And then they had a balance transfer card for the people that, life happens.
Yeah.
Life happens. And sometimes you need that credit card that you can move your money to and have that zero balance on for a moment of time in order to get it down. Now, a lot of banks and credit unions have those cards. I would just point that out because I have that account with Andrew.
And, okay, that's what I'm saying. Oh, yeah. What the name of that again is Andrews with an S credit union?
Just Andrews. Yeah.
Wow.
Andrews Credit Union.
Man, you said black-owned credit union too?
Yeah.
Wow. That's what's up.
Yeah.
See, this is why we have people like Dante here. See, it's one thing, guys, just to read about something. It's one thing to watch something, right? But it's nothing like learning from someone that is doing something that you either want to do or they're doing something that you're learning about. And they're saying, hey, this is what this experience is like. And again, just dropping gems as always, Dante, man. We greatly appreciate your time. Don't worry, guys. We ain't wrapping up just yet. So I see some of you guys are late to the party. No worries. We got you. So Troy, okay, good. Listen, members are in the house. Let's go and get some answers, get some questions answered here. So my question is, and this is for Dante. My question is, what did you do to get your credit score back up when it was down? What are some things that you kind of did around that time?
Like I say, one thing is age. You can't alter age, but over time it will eventually go up.
Yeah.
The second thing I did was when I getting back into the credit card game. I already had car loans. When you get these loans, even though it's debt, unfortunately, debt helps improve your credit, right? So I've had car loans. Did I have the best rates at the time? Of course not, because my credit wasn't where it should have been, right? But it's still improving it because I'm having a payment history. And that's another thing people don't tell you. Well, I won't say people don't tell you. Calvin tell you. You have to put in the work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's the payment history. It's the age of credit. I started getting into credit cards, and the higher limits I was getting, and I'm not saying that you went straight to $30,000 limit. If you get a $1,000 limit and then get a $2,000, you still have more credit.
Yep.
Your utilization is down, right? You just setting the foundation to get bigger, and it will help your credit score.
Yep.
I learned about a card called the Credit AI card. What the Credit AI card does is it's not a credit card, it's a debit card. The only thing you do is download the app, order the card, you put money on it like you would a debit card, any other debit card, and it reports a $1,500 credit line to all three credit bureaus. There's no fee for this card. You just download the app, request the card, put money on it, and it's gonna report $1,500 with a zero balance every single month.
Wow.
When I first got it, I used it a few times. I think I put $40 on it. I used it a few times. There's $13 been on that card for the last probably 2 years.
Wow.
And it still reports $1,500 every month. Once those report a few times, bump your credit up. So it's small things you could do. You can take out a pledge loan with Navy Federal. For me,
about that.
I just didn't think that it would be worth it for me because I already have installment loans.
Yeah.
Right? I already have a mortgage. I already have cars. So I don't think it would be worth it for me. But for someone who doesn't have installment loans, that could be huge for you. It could definitely put a bump to your credit score. But yeah, it's just step by step, and you have to look at your particular circumstance, because unless someone knows everything about your credit journey and where you are, it's hard for them to really tell you about it.
That's right. That's right, man. Key points. Again, Dante talked about it. Just because, again, you guys hear about an account, see an account, see it on YouTube, your cousin just got it. Do you need it? Right? Do you need it? Because you may not need to add. We talked about this with credit builders, guys. No different than any other account, right? An auto loan or a credit card or whatever the case may be. Do you need to have that? And guys, just so we're clear, a good credit mix, you don't need 40 accounts to get to 850. That's management, that's skill, that's, hey, this is my lifestyle. I'm using this for this. I'm saying that to say you need a good mix is anywhere between 5 to 7 accounts. Okay, 5 to 7 accounts. Just so you guys know, and I'm gonna do a video on this. I haven't done a video on how to get an 850 score in quite some time. But guys, the key to an 850 score, the short version, is 5 to 7 open accounts that are a different mix. For those who don't know what a mix is because there's only 2 different types of accounts for the most part: installment accounts and revolving accounts. And now you have these new types of credit pieces where, like Dante just mentioned, where an account is on your credit report, it shows up like a revolving account, but then you're not using it, right? But it still falls under the category of revolving. Either way, but just through life, you're going to find yourself getting, at minimum, you may find yourself getting an auto loan, right? And you got a couple credit cards and you got a couple credit builders, but you also can get the 850 with just credit cards too. But a mix is going to get you there a little bit faster. And that's just natural life, right? Naturally, you may get an auto loan. You don't necessarily have to have a loan, but you don't necessarily have to put yourself through getting like a student loan or a personal loan or a mortgage loan. That's another piece. Mortgage loans. You may find yourself saying, you know what, I want to buy property, right? And so now that's part of the mix. And then you got the auto loan, you got the mortgage loan, you got a handful of credit cards. Then that's part 1. Part 2 is you have to have an average age of accounts has to be 8 to 11 years. 8 to 11 years. So that's why you'll never see somebody under 24 years old with an 850 credit score. Now I did meet a 24-year-old and she had like an 8, and she was high 8s, but she clearly was coached. She clearly was coached on this, right? And she was like, no, my dad said do XYZ, right? So that's the next piece. Make sure you guys are making sure your family has this information, guys, as you're going through that journey. All right. So let's see what else we got here. Route 666 says, well, first off, listen, I gotta reach out to Caesar Joel. He been low key in these comments over here. We got the I know I think that's your boy, right? From the Discord.
Yeah, that's my dude.
That's what's up. Shout out to Caesar in the house, Anthony Venture in the house. All right, so let's see here. All right, so Andrew's credit union. Yep, we got that. All right, Route 66. From Andrew, I guess he's asking, do they do a hard pull? From where Andrews do the hard pull? If you can clarify that question, because I don't know if that's the question that you're answering. Route 66.
You know what? Yeah, I gotta do my research on that one, man. I've had that account for quite some time now. Yeah,
that's what's
and
up.
You know what? To be totally honest with you, I don't believe that they did a hard inquiry. Don't quote me on it, but I don't believe that they did. Yeah. Now I know that they do. That's one thing that I don't like about their credit card products. They pull all 3 bureaus, and that was another reason why I kind of laid back on getting a titanium card. But to be totally honest with you, once you start getting as far into the credit card game as I am, when I apply for cards, it doesn't affect my credit very much. maybe 1 or 2 points.
Yep. That's huge. Guys, that's huge. Don't forget, I know we spend a lot of time, or I see a lot of people always ask about increase. The whole point of having credit, someone has to take a look at it. The whole point of having credit, creditors, lenders, they got to see it. It's part of the game. Now, don't get me wrong. What pisses everybody off is when they go to the dealership and they shotgun that application. You have to have a conversation with the finance manager or the sales manager. Sometimes the communication don't get through. You got to talk to the finance manager and say, listen, I do not want my application shotgunned. Or essentially sent to a lot of banks. Or tell them how many banks you want them to be sent to. Or go to the dealership pre-approved already. They hate that. I got an interview coming up. Y'all gonna love it. Y'all gonna love it, okay? We're gonna be talking about auto loans and such. But I'm telling you, here, one thing that they hate is when you come to the dealership already pre-approved. For one, they can't make that much money off of you. That's a whole nother conversation. But either way, again, that keeps you guys from getting all these shots. Listen, my wife and I, she says, listen, she's had on her dream board for years. She wanted a Range Rover. Knowing what I know about the credit card game, not the credit card game, but the credit game in general and just auto loans in general, I called Range Rover and I said, hey, this is how we're going to do this, right? It's nothing wrong with that. You guys got to stop acting like these banks are doing you a favor. Banks need clients. They got the money, but they need you. They ain't the only bank in town. And if you are in a small area where there's only a bank in town, guys, there's a thing called the internet, okay? Everybody got clients. My point is, you are the catch. You are the catch. Listen, it don't matter. Listen, the bank ain't making no money if ain't nobody walking in. If anybody taking mortgage loans out, if they're not getting credit cards, they not making money. You are the catch. Now, don't get me wrong. I wasn't calling like, an a-hole and it was like, hey, this was going to happen. I was more like, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and just kind of do it like this, okay? And again, I was in, I was out, I knew the game, right? And so again, stop going in blind. Y'all know too much. Listen, I once heard somebody say recently, you too old to be eating McDonald's. I was like, we ain't gonna talk about that. We ain't gonna go into that because that conversation can go a lot of different directions. But my point is that guys, we're too old to be acting like these these banks are doing us a favor. Listen, we too old for that. Now, if you're in your 20s, you still learning. In your 30s, you like, okay, I made my mistake. Let me get some stuff right. But you 40 plus, you can't be making these mistakes no more. Especially with the internet being available to you. Don't get me wrong. Like Dante said, it's a lot of people that it's tough to trust out there. It is. But at the end of the day, I don't want you to feel bad. I never want you guys to feel bad. My point is that we got to stop winging it. Stop acting like the information's not out there. Stop acting like that. You got Google, you got YouTube, you got your own research, you got your friends, you got family, you got mentors. So the information's there. It's what you choose to do with it. Okay? It's what you choose to do with it. All right? So, but anyway, Lee said these two guys aren't wearing any pants. Stand up. Let's see your bot. What? This could be something else in these comments. See, I'm about to make these filters a little bit more. But anyway, all right. Does anyone have any legitimate questions before we go ahead and wrap up and get up out of here, guys?
Hey,
all right.
Hey, I want to say something about that auto loan real quick.
Yeah.
Man, the one thing you touched on, go to the car dealership already pre-approved. Go there pre-approved already.
That's right.
There's so many institutions that will do a free pre-approval. Yes, they'll do a hard inquiry once you get ready to pull the trigger on it.
Yep.
But that's one inquiry. They've already pre-approved you for a certain amount.
That's right.
Go there pre-approved. And when you go to get that car, know what you want to pay for it. Don't let them get you into payments, discussing payments, because they can get a payment down to anything, right? You might get a $300 payment for 9 years, right? Get the payment of what you want to pay for the car when you go in there to buy a car, and you'll come out a lot better.
Yep.
I know you know about that, Kelvin.
Oh man, absolutely. Yeah. Let me tell you something. I'm gonna be honest, guys. That's one of the reasons why I left the industry. Because I could not continue to something didn't feel right the way that money was being made, and it was always keeping people in the unknown. Or as one of my mentors taught me, in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. In the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king. And that was trying to make sure that you keep people blind. If you keep people from not knowing, right? They have no idea what's coming. They have no idea. And so you have to be one step ahead. Don't get me wrong. There are most definitely some great car salesmen out there, or just salespeople in general, and they're not just trying to just make money. But there are most definitely some people where they're just doing just random crazy stuff. And I said, you know what? And then when they put me in management, it was just a breath of fresh air, because I'm like, okay, I can kind of change some things, right? And so, but that's what led to the YouTube channel and things. And that's what I wanted to make sure people need to know this information. Just like on Dante's channel, he wants you guys to learn from not only his mistakes, but things that he's learned along the journey. Because guys, these companies ain't really going nowhere. Amex gonna be here to stay. Chase gonna be here to stay. You know, all these credit unions. Get the information, learn the information. All right, guys. So as we're wrapping up, let's go ahead and make this thing happen. Oreo, you said you got one. Yeah, throw it in there, man, before we wrap up. All right, how long should I wait before? How long should you wait before you refinance, guys? I would say you want to refinance as soon as you can, as soon as your credit scores go up. Sometimes you guys just end up having bad terms because you bought in a bad window. What does that mean? That means, let's say, for example, that you're a 550 score. You paid off your credit card, but then before that balance updated on your credit report, which also makes the credit score update and improve, by that time, now you went to the dealership. And they gave you an interest rate based on you being a 550. When whole time in less than 30 days, if you just wait, that's another thing. Just be patient. Dante said that earlier. Just be patient. Things are going to take time. You can't alter the time schedule, okay? But the thing is that when you do that, you say, okay, when should I go ahead and do this? So again, refinance the longer you wait, the better it's going to be. Well, I won't say that. The higher your score, the better it's going to be. Okay. So you get to that 650, 700, whatever the case may be. But at the same time, if you've had a car for 12 months, 18 months, something like that, just keep that time frame in mind. I would say do it as soon as you can. 6 months later, 12 months later, 18 months. And if you don't get approved, try it again. Try it again every 3 months, every 90 days. See if you can get better terms. Okay. You have to look out for you. You should be looking out for you. Make sure your terms are in the best way possible. All right, guys. But either way, all right, guys, we greatly appreciate you all for sure. And Chad is in the house. Man, y'all see the whole lineup in here now. That's what's up. Chad is in the building. All right, guys. Yeah, you're most welcome, Cedric. All right, we're here. Thank you. Listen, first off, Dante, thank you so much for your time, man. I greatly appreciate it. You pulling away from your family, your own YouTube channel. Make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to Dante's YouTube channel if you haven't already. Listen, thanks to his information and of course just collaborations like this. His channel is well past that 1,000 subscriber mark. Where you at now, Dante? Where you at now?
Oh man, I'm getting up there close to 1,400 now.
Woo! There you go, man. There you go. It's like Kanye West said, it was all good. It was all good just a week ago, right? Yes, it was different a week ago, man. So, but you know what it is that it's good information and good people, right? I'm attracted to good information. I'm attracted to kind-hearted people that just genuinely want to help and genuinely want to deliver, right? So you guys are I'm telling you, get into his channel in the early stages. I'm telling you, because once he blow up, you'll be a part of that, okay? You'll be a part of that. And it's not just Dante. You about to see a whole circle about to pop out this whole situation. So we got so much information, so many gems that are well on the way. And listen, if you guys want Sledge to come back, I know y'all did this with Star. Don't worry. Listen, Star's coming back. Don't worry. But listen, if you guys want Sledge to come back, go ahead and put the salute emoji inside of the chat. And listen, even if you're watching the replay, go ahead and put the salute emoji inside the chat, guys. And that's what it's all about. And again, guys, make sure you guys consider becoming a YouTube member. We get questions like this all the time, and we want to make sure we put you guys in the best position possible to win. And not even just this credit game, okay? It's not just about getting the credit cards and doing these types of things. It's not just about that. It's about whatever your goal is. What is your goal, right? And if you have any financial or credit goals, that's what we're here for. These are parts and pieces. Some of this stuff you guys need, and some of this stuff may not necessarily pertain to you. But you guys say, okay, what is my goal? Is my goal to get a high limit credit card? Is my goal to be with Navy Federal? Is my goal to be a homeowner? Is my goal to lower my car payment? Find out what that goal is And I'm telling you, the community, we can help you. Okay, we most definitely can help you. So thanks again, Sledge. Is there anything you want to leave with everybody before we jump out of here?
Oh man, I just appreciate everybody that came out. I appreciate you for having me up here, man.
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thanks again, Dante. We greatly appreciate your time. All right, guys, make sure you guys go ahead and subscribe to this channel if you haven't done so already. We already seen the salute emojis already come through the chat, so we'll most definitely have Sledge, come back in the future. And thanks again for your time, man. We greatly appreciate it.
For sure.